Hi. So I'm Savannah. I'm Nikki's little sister. so thank you. So Nikki has basically been planning her wedding since she was like 8 or 9 years old. Um, her and Julia would dress up me and Julia's little brother and put on whole ceremonies. And it's definitely clear that all this planning has paid off because this is a beautiful wedding. And I'm so happy to be here with you guys. But also, that's just Nikki. She always seems to handle everything life throws at her. She's always my inspiration. I go to her for everything. You just know what to do. Oh, now I'm crying. Sorry. Okay. I have loved being a part of both of you guys' lives. I still remember. Sorry. I remember when you guys came to Virginia to visit us after getting engaged, and I have literally never seen two people so in love. Sorry. I'm not done yet. Okay. No, but like the entire time, you could just see it in their eyes. They were so happy. Like he would walk into or out of a room and she would just light up and just always talking about Brendan this and that. And it just makes me so happy that this exists out there in relationships. And it really gives me faith that this is possible. And you guys are just amazing. Okay. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. So, not only are you guys just as in love now, after all these years, but it's clear that you're just so good for each other. You've grown so much on your own, and you also just complement each other through everything you do. Like, Brendan clearly knows how to calm you down and deal with you the way that we Lee women get sometimes. And I'm sure he learned long ago never to let you get hangry, as long as anything good was going to happen. So, yeah. And, and you guys travel well together, which has already proven amazing. You've been all over the country, outside of it. You just have so much fun. And I know that Thailand is going to be incredible. I'm so excited to hear about it. And you guys have immersed yourselves in the Lord together, and you just keep getting stronger. And you have this whole array of relationships and amazing friends from all over that you stick with. And that's just really, I think, a sign to everyone, like how great you guys are as people, that you still have these relationships after so long. And everyone loves you, and I love you, obviously. I really look up to you guys on how to be a successful adult and to just have so much fun at the same time. You just seem to do it all. Grace, it's just everywhere. And I just really couldn't have asked for a better brother to come and his entire family. I love you guys so much, and I'm so happy you found the person that's going to love you for the rest of your life. Thank you.
And one more round of applause for Savannah. That was fantastic. So good evening. Thank you all for being here tonight. I am Zach Flores. I'm Brennan's younger, only, and in turn, best brother. So this is a very special occasion. We have people joining us tonight from not only all across Texas, but all over the United States, to include California, Oregon, and Virginia, to name a few. Some of y'all came a long way just for a free meal. So, but I appreciate y'all making the trip. I know that Brendan and Nicolette appreciate y'all being here. So thank you once again for doing that. So working on this speech has been difficult. It's really hard to summarize and speak to a relationship with my brother and now sister-in-law Nicolette without the entire thing turning into one big inside joke. I could tell you about Brendan and I jumping down trash chutes in West Campus. Thank you for the encouragement, Bumble, back there. I could tell you about nights all three of us have spent on 6th Street that we may not fully remember, but we'll never forget. I could tell you about topics of heartfelt conversations held over hours that we've had. I could tell you a lot, but advice given to me was to keep it short, simple, and to the point. So what I plan on doing this evening is just sharing with you my thoughts about Brendan, Nicolette, and their marriage. So moving forward, I would like to talk a little bit about the groom. I don't know how long all of y'all have known Brendan, but I've been blessed to know him my whole life. I've never understood how siblings could fight or not get along because Brendan and I have always been so close. I look up to Brendan with boundless admiration and am so happy for you tonight. He's been with me through thick and thin. He's been the person that I call on when I'm having trouble figuring life out or just need someone to talk to. All of my favorite stories about growing up in our childhood include Brendan, and I'd like to share a few of them with you tonight. When we were little, we used to ride down hills in wagons. We would turn the handle around, and Brendan would steer us, often irresponsibly, past cars with little more than ill-fitting football gear as protection. We lit our yard on fire one time so we could jump in our C-car through the flames. Sorry about that one, Mom and Dad. And Brendan had the great idea to bring an old baby mattress into his room one day so we could jump off his bunk bed. Well, I missed the bunk bed and got hurt pretty bad. Looking back on it, it's a great story. All really fun. Our C-cars and wagons, more so than the bunk bed jumping. But one of my favorite memories growing up has got to be spending every Christmas Eve in Brendan's room with him as we tried to sleep and eagerly awaited the next morning. From those childhood memories to trips we've made more recently to Las Vegas and New Orleans, Brendan has been not just my brother, but a lifelong mentor and friend. He's helped mold me into who I am today, and I appreciate that. Brendan's a very smart, kind-hearted, and motivated individual. But what some of you may not know about him is that he was a high school football star at McNeil. So senior year on varsity, Brendan caught the one and only pass thrown to him that year. Giving him the highest completion rate out of anybody on the team. That athleticism is probably one of the things that drew Nicolette towards Brendan as they began their relationship as high school seniors. In life, there are people that wait till the last minute to prepare for something, like me a little bit with this speech and Brendan with most daily task. And then there are people like Nicolette who plan. I think that she had the wedding website up and running 7 years ago and was just waiting on Brendan to propose before she published it. Speaking of planning, let's go ahead and give Nicolette a quick round of applause for all the hard work she's put into this night. Not that Brendan is bad at planning. He put together an amazing proposal last year in Oregon that brought our families together. And anyone that knows Brendan knows he is always planning out his next Lego creation. Nicolette, how you fell in love with an 18-year-old that still actively played with Legos is beyond me. But I'm glad you did. You know, I think looking back on it, Brendan's always been a little bit of a planner. And his best plan yet has been to spend the rest of his life with Nicolette as his wife. I'll never forget the day that Brendan called me and told me that he was going to propose to Nicolette. He's usually a very calm and level-headed individual, but I could tell how much she meant to him by the nervous excitement in his voice. I'll also never forget when Brendan asked me to be his best man as we were sitting outside by his pool. I felt a rush of emotions. My head began to spin a little bit, and I felt overall an immense sense of pride that my brother would trust me with such a responsibility. Thank you. And now to talk about your better half. Nicolette, you look stunning tonight, and I love you. I really do. with all my heart. Nikki is the sister I never had, but always wanted. She is a beautiful and intelligent individual who was well-grounded in her faith. Since day one, you have been supportive and caring towards me, taking me under your wing, and looking after me as if I was your own brother. Thank you for that. Just as I have looked up to Brendan, I've looked up to Nicolette, and although her story started in Oregon, I am so thankful that God brought her into all of our lives. So, I was younger when we first met, but I quickly realized that you were the one for Brendan. He acted completely different after he met you, like he had found the last piece to his puzzle. You completed him, and I could tell that you were his whole world by the way that he looked at you. You have been around for so long, and we have made many amazing memories with you, from camping at Garner State Park to countless birthdays and special events, such as graduations and birthdays and holidays. I can't imagine those times without you. Your loving nature and funny personality never fails to brighten up any room that you walk into. Most importantly, though, you have brightened up my brother's life with your light and made him happy in ways that no one else could. We've shared many special moments together, and I look forward to the moments we'll share in the future. There is not a bride more perfect for Brendan. Thank you, Nicolette, for bringing him and all of us so much happiness. As I finish up, I just want to say thank you to the bride and groom for giving me the honor to speak at y'all's wedding. That's been an honor. Brendan and Nicolette have been together for 7 years now, and although tonight is when she has officially joined the family, I think that all of us know that she's been family since day one. I couldn't think of a better wife for my brother, and I am filled with love and joy tonight. There is no couple more ready or more right for this blessing than the both of you tonight. Be kind and compassionate to each other. Never let your love fade, and let God guide y'all as y'all start this new and exciting chapter in your lives together. And with that, I'd like you all to join me in a toast, wishing the bride and groom a future of everlasting health, love, and happiness. To Mr. and Mrs. Flores. Cheers.
Such a great orator, so loquacious and very humble, yet witty. Great job, Zachary. Another round of applause for Zachary, please.
Okay, that's a pretty tough act to follow, and I always make short stories long, so Nicolette has given me a mandatory 5-minute cutoff. This mic's going to go dead in 5 minutes, so I'm going to get going, all right? I am Mark Lee, Nicolette's father. I think I know just about everybody here. There's a few people I'd like to introduce myself to later on tonight, but thank you all for coming. I'd like to welcome everybody for this wonderful day. We have guests from 2 countries, both coasts, and a whole bunch of Texans, and I'm really, really glad that my father is here to see this. It seems like just yesterday that we were in Timberline Lodge in Oregon, along with Nikki's mom, Wendy, Brendan's parents, Tim and Jan, a few others, celebrating the engagement of these 2. And we were all saying that we had an entire year to get ready for this. So why have these last few days been so frenetic? Oh, man. Okay, here goes. When I first met Nicolette, it was a life-changing experience. I became a father for the first time. After the initial joy, I cleaned off all the packing goo and cut the cord, and I ran out into the waiting room. My mother jumped up and came up to me, and I couldn't speak. And finally she said, "Well, what did you get?" And I'm like, it's a Nicolette. As Nikki grew, she quickly taught me how much I did not know about parenting, but I also taught her a few things. I would pull down the armrest in my bench seat of my truck, stuff my coat in there, sit her up on it, seatbelt her in, and drive her around so she could see out the window. Now, that's probably not kosher today, but we did it. We played a game called What's That, where she would point out everything that she could possibly see and say, "What's that?" And I would tell her. We also practiced whistling. As soon as she was tall enough, maybe second grade, we stuffed cardboard in the heels of her shoes, and she became my roller coaster ride buddy. So it was not much of a surprise when she told me coming up on her 18th birthday that she wanted to go skydiving to celebrate. So I was still living on the West Coast at the time, and I told her no problem under one condition, that I get to go with you. So I flew out to go skydiving with Nikki, and she had two friends that had also just turned 18. So on a beautiful September day at this little airport in San Marcos, I met the wonderful Jenna Boyd and this guy named Brendan. I gave him one of my Bone Crusher Smith handshakes, and he just smiled and looked me right in the eye. Did not break a sweat. So we loaded up the plane. Nicolette said, "Oh, I'm going to jump first." And I said, "Well, then I'll go after you." And Brendan's like, "No, Mr. Lee, I need to go right after she does, because if she jumps, I'm going to jump." And I thought, he's a smart guy. So the following April, when I finally moved to Texas, we were going to all go skydiving again, along with a dozen or so other of their classmates at McNeil who had also turned 18. I think there was supposed to be an even mix of the boys and girls, but when I got to the airport, Brendan was the only dude that showed up. There were about 8 or 9 girls, and I scored some cool dad points just upon moving to Texas, but I left there with this feeling that this Flores fellow may be around for quite some time. Through the college years, we would get together for the holidays, the occasions, and just because. Along the way, Brendan and I had a lot of good talks. Might be because I'm good at talking and he's good at listening. But it wasn't until the Darnell House remodel that I really got to know the complete Brendan. The dozen or so weekends that I drove to Houston to help the kids fix up their first house were good for me. A lot of hard work, but also a lot of fun. And late at night, actually very late at night, with Nicolette long asleep, we would have these great conversations about all sorts of topics, and it brought me great comfort knowing that my daughter was with a man of substance. And his addiction to Legos meant that he already shared our family's DNA. Some of you might be or not be aware of this, but this is going to be a mixed marriage. You see, Nicolette's an Aggie, and Brendan's a Longhorn. So, no pressure, but when the time comes, I have a solution. I said no pressure, just when the time comes. Hey. Go Ducks. There you go, baby. So, timing is a big component in life. It was just over a year ago that I had told the kids that my help on the Darnell house was complete, and I loaded up my tools and returned to Austin. 3 days later, Hurricane Harvey hit. Rainfall totals were measured in feet. The water kept advancing. Brendan used his swimming pool to make a giant sump, which was brilliant. It was brilliant. And just 8 feet from the front door of the remodeled house, it stopped, and the water started to recede. So, does this mean you were lucky, or were you blessed? I think it's a little bit of both. You know, there's a lot of wonderful people who did suffer great loss, and my heart still goes out to them. I bring this up because throughout the entire ordeal, the two of you helped each other cope with it. Side by side, you were a team. You never know when adversity will pop up. Trust me when I say this. It's how you face it together that reveals the true character of your love for each other. This past summer, when Grandpa and I joined you at First Presbyterian Church of Houston, there was a guest pastor there, Rebecca Harrison, and I think she nailed it when she brought up Esther Kenegdo. You remember? It was this great interpretation where the man and the woman are equal but opposite. Like an arch, they support each other. Without one, the other will fall. But together you provide each other strength, power, and focus. Please remember that. My 5 minutes of time are used up, so if everybody will please stand and raise their glasses, I'd like to say God bless you, Mr. and Mrs. Flores.